actually teaching an after-school class when the idea for Max Meow came up, because Max Meow is, and just to hold up the book, like you did, and he's even there behind me, but Max Meow is the tale of a podcasting cat. And he's not very popular. He has a lot less fans than Middle Grade Ninja does, only 12 or 13. And he decides, oh, I'm going to go interview my best friend Mindy. Well, Mindy Microbe is a scientist, and he goes to her lab and looks at all her inventions. And she has inventions like frisbee pizza and self-tying shoelaces. But one of the things that gets his interest when he's making this podcast is this meatball that she found in outer space.
As
and the
does.
Meatball, yeah, we got a fan there. And then the meatball, an evil robot comes and tries to steal the meatball, and somehow Max ends up eating a piece of the meatball and gets superpowers. And the way that all came about was I had some kids in this class I was teaching, and they were just, they some kids in these art classes that I teach, they'll just come, they say, give me a paper and a pencil and I'll just start drawing. And my job is to come around and go, hey, that's pretty good. Good stuff. And what's this about? And but some kids are just so nervous. They think they have to do it perfectly or they shouldn't draw. So I gathered these 6 or 7 kids around, and I'm like, we're going to create a comic together. And what came out of it was, oh, you like books about dogs? Well, what are books about cats? Okay, let's do a cat, because there's already a book about a dog. So and then we started, and we were going to call it Captain Cat. And scientists, there were lightning bolts, there was a giant robot, and what was great was I would help draw a panel, then maybe I would write a panel, I would ink a panel, and all the kids were trying different roles. And before you knew it, we had a 12-page comic that we created like a factory, like the old bullpen from Marvel. And they didn't even realize they had done this, and they each had done different parts of it. And they were so excited about this that the next week they're like, what's going on with Captain Cat? And eventually it became Max Meow Cat Crusader. And, I was like, wow, this is really, it was kid tested and approved in the first day. And and it really has had a great response since I've started introducing it to young people.
So were you able to keep that going and have the kids continue to give you feedback as you're working to finish the book and spoiler, the sequel?
Exactly. And my 10-year-old, now he's 13. I think he was 10 or 11 at the time. He had a lot of opinions because my youngest was dealing with, it's funny, I've always been pushing graphic novels. I've always been telling kids how great they are. My 2 older children, they liked graphic novels and comics, but they weren't super excited, but they love to read everything. My youngest was a reluctant reader, and he was diagnosed with dyslexia, and I would pick up any book I could to get him to read. And he really would try, then discard it. And it was so funny because graphic novels, Dogman, Drama, Smile, these were the ones that just, set his brain on fire. And he would be underneath the covers with the flashlight, read, even though we don't yell at him for reading. So he had a lot of opinions when I created Max Meow. And he was the one who came up with the name Max Meow. And I wanted to call him, I can't remember, I had Electrocat because Max shoots electricity from his tail, and he's like, no, Dad, Cat Crusader. So, yeah, it's neat to have that feedback, and I was very lucky because I had an immediate test audience that I could throw this stuff at.
Look at you! You've got an expression of your artistic vision, of course, but also a nice thing that you were able to do with your son that's going to be special for your family forever. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And going back to when my daughter was just 4 or 5, I used to tell her bedtime stories because we have a golden retriever. And I tell stories about a little girl and her golden retriever. And when she was about 10, we created a comic together called Zoe and Ketchup, which is kind of like if Calvin from Calvin and Hobbes had a mean big sister. And so I created that with my daughter Katie, and just self-published it. And then I did one with my two boys together called Epic Bros, about two brothers whose dad was a superhero. And this is sort of that extension. And a big part of that came because comics and graphic novels take so much of your time. I needed to come up with a way to do it, but also connect with them. Because that was, and ultimately, I think there's a more authentic feel to some of the work that I do, because it was all connected to the love I have for my kids.
We've got the esteemed audience looks forward to the guest visits from Mabel the cat, and she is hooked on Max Meow. I can't get enough.
That's good. I don't know where my cat Millie is right now. I would have her say hello, but she seems to approve as well.
It's a big hit here at the house. Not only is Mabel a fan, my 6-year-old son, he doesn't get to read all of the books that we talk about on the show with me, but he sat with me for this one. We had a great time.
That's good.
We are eagerly awaiting part 2.
Well, that's good. Well, and part 2, I'll give you a little preview of that, is entitled Max Meow, Donuts, and Danger. And
that will be available when? That's
coming out April 6th of 2021. So, and with book 3 coming October of 2021. So I am following a pretty aggressive schedule, and Random House has been supporting me. The plan is for a new book every 6 months. I guess until I fall over.
Sure.
But we're starting with these 3, and hopefully everything will, kids will like it, and we'll continue doing it. And, one of the things going from being a self-published author to someone who's working with an editor and a publisher is the time you work so far ahead. And I know I've seen on your show, when you had Laura Martin on, she talked about you had seen a version of her book 2 years before it was published. And usually, this book was finished about almost exactly a year before publication. And that was completely different to me because, as a lot of self-pub people have done, there were some things I had printed at printers, but other things were through CreateSpace on Amazon. And I mean, you get immediate, gratification because you print your book and it comes back to you in 2 weeks. So this has taken a little bit longer, and one of the tough things is with today is there's a lot more electronic ARCs or advanced reader copies that are going out. I wasn't able, just as they printed book versions of these, they kind of got locked up in the warehouse due to COVID. And it was one of those cases where we're just going to send digital copies to everybody. And I'm like, of course. But I was sort of like, oh, man, I would really like to have a big stack of those. And so it's really exciting now to have the book published.
Well, I'm sure the digital version is excellent as well, but it's not the same with something that's this bright and colorful that, that jumps off the page that you can hold in your hand.
Right. And yeah, 240 pages, and it's hardcover. And I mean, it just feels like a good, solid book. And at the same time, I've already gotten kids and parents telling me their kids finish the book in a day, finish the book in a day and a half, and they want to know when the next one is coming. And I'm just
6 months of your life working as hard as you possibly can, and then one day of theirs.
I know. Because you feel like, oh, I put my heart and soul in this, and someone reads it and it's like pancakes. Oh, I have another order. But at the same time, it's the most flattering thing in the world.